What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about Palantir. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's been coming out associated to Palantir itself, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So at the time of doing this video, it is up 10.85%. New 52-week high being created today, $34.13. 64.07 million shares being traded within the first about hour and a half of the trading day. 49 is the average. So a lot of big money is paying attention to Palantir, rightfully so in some cases. So these are all the transactions that are occurring on the dark pool. So very popular exchange. This is often enough linked to shorting as well as other large entities. These are some of the transactions occurring on the secondary market, similarly above $100,000. And based on everything, a good about 80 to 90% of all the transactions being done are optimistic and bullish. And you can tell that based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price. So generally, big money is really gravitating towards Palantir today. And a couple different reasons why. So one of which was this was announced on Friday. So Palantir did get added to the S&P 500. So essentially that for face value caused Palantir to go up roughly around 8.5%, 9%, give or take. And in my opinion, I feel like that's somewhat of a overreaction because nothing fundamentally changed about Palantir itself. The only thing that really does change because of this news is that you do get an increase in liquidity, right? Because a lot of entities that have ETFs or whatever else that do track the S&P 500 now are going to be buying Palantir. So again, this is why you probably see an increase in institutions buying it today. But even today's news, this kind of is like good stuff, right? Palantir and BP agreed to a 5-year strategic relationship. So Palantir has been a beast for all these partnerships, and they're building a very good moat around them. The only thing that I've been relatively bearish on, so my last two videos have been somewhat bearish on Palantir, not due to the fundamental business itself, but more so to do with the technicals. And so I'm going to talk on technicals and everything else, but there was one new analyst rating that did come out today. So Daniel Ives, so the poster boy of Palantir, the biggest bull of them all, did reiterate $38 as their price target. And this obviously is a good indication of why somewhat I am a little bit bearish on Palantir. So essentially, kind of taking the technicals out of the mix, you have just Wall Street not really in agreement on exactly what Palantir should be valued at, right? You have $9, you have $16 price targets. Then on the opposite spectrum, you have $38 price targets. So as a consensus of all the ratings, $25.42 is that price target, and that does represent a 25% downside. So not necessarily the best. So again, that's one thing that really is factoring in on my videos as well. And this is the latest Elliott Wave technicals. So $27.80 is that pivot point. And so for as long as Palantir is above that, then it is anticipated to get to that $37 to high $38 range. So still very good, and the Elliott Wave technicals have been 100% on point in the past. So again, this is something to kind of keep in mind, but still bigger picture though, looking on the actual technicals, you see it is outside the boiling band right now. Stochastic, you do see, surprisingly, given everything, it is relatively oversold, and that's because of it selling off over this last several trading days, which again, my last video, which was roughly around here when it was at the mid 32s, I said it was going to pull back to probably around 28. Subtract this news right here that did come out and everything, then most likely it would have actually come to fruition. But still, beside the point, you do see a very nice bullish deviation starting to form as well. It is kind of oversold. So again, you could have more value investors getting in just because of that kind of factor as well. And number of retail investors are starting to get back in ever since they've been selling out. Looks like since the 23rd. Looking at some data points though, so shorts surprisingly are increasing today, around 85,000 shares. 3.02% of the free float is being shorted. So obviously Palantir is not a squeeze play. So just wanted to be very crystal clear on that. But 58.63 million shares overall are being shorted, and just generally shorts have been really returning quite a lot ever since it did have a kind of high of 9.21% in September of 2023. Shorts have been kind of admitting defeat, and rightfully so, right? Palantir is up a huge amount. So over the last 1 year, up 121%. So short's been losing, and this is pretty much one of the only stocks in the broader market that they have been really losing, aside from Nvidia and whatever else. But the fact that they are increasing today kind of shows that this news is somewhat of a overreaction, which generally speaking, if Palantir did not put out this news, then yeah, I think that Palantir would have definitely sold off because of this, because this doesn't really justify being up 8.5% based on this news alone. Going over options, a lot of money is getting into Palantir, both through common stock as well as through options. So 67 million in calls, 11 million in puts. 50% of all the options being done are optimistic and bullish. And of the call options that are being purchased, you do see kind of a high of, looks like even around $40. So kind of a lot of optimism. And then on the flip side, looking at puts, you do see a consensus for it to be sub $30. So more of a continuation of that breakdown. And then this is the current open interest. So you guys can kind of see just based on that. So that seems to be more orienting towards around that $35 range. But big money is getting in, building a lot of good support levels. We'll just have to wait and see what does ultimately happen, but a lot of big money is paying attention to it. As of right now, with it at $33 and change, it is trading between this R1 and R2. So $33.16 is that support level. Next one that you'll want to watch for. Potentially it might test it today if it does continue to kind of pull down. $35.96 is going to be that next strong resistance / target. So if Palantir is able to close within this range today, then no doubtably it is going to continue to trend up. So again, even though my last couple of videos have been generally bearish, it's just reading data, right? So right now things are kind of looking like it is more pointing to a breakout. It will all depend on if it does hold this R1 or not, because if not, then yeah, in general it will continue to most likely pull down to that around $28 range. There's a lot of different things that is coming out this week. We have also CPI and PPI Wednesday and Thursday, so no doubtably that's going to really rock the broader market, and a lot of people are going to correlate that with interest rates being cut, and this is the current outlook for that right now. So for the September 18th meeting, there is a 29% likelihood of a 50 basis point cut. And so if CPI or PPI come in a little bit worse for wear, you should see this increase, but that won't necessarily be a good thing. So again, that will have a lot of analysts starting to chatter about recessions, bubbles, that whole crap that really causes the market to be somewhat jittery. But generally speaking, Palantir's again doing fairly well, especially considering the fear and greed index is under the fear category. So let me know your thoughts on Palantir. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with Palantir? Options is through the roof. So have you guys started to dabble with options, selling covered calls, selling puts? If you do really believe in any company, I highly recommend you guys researching selling puts, because it gets you some premium and you essentially could buy it at the price that you were going to buy it anyways. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. One final thing, make sure you guys definitely take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it. They give you 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Link to that is in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.